Hello VR gamers, I've just completed a full playthrough of Vampire the Masquerade Justice, and here's some quick thoughts on the game. Overall, this is a pretty fun vampire assassination and stealth VR game. What it does best is the feeling of being a supernatural assassin, sneaking from spot to spot and taking out your enemies one by one. Your need for blood will also force you to get up close and personal to borrow some from your opponents, which is always a risk and keeps you from just using your most powerful abilities over and over again. This is the core of what makes Vampire the Masquerade Justice a good game and what it does well. Put a lot of enemies between you and where you need to be and let you figure out how to sneak or kill your way past them. It also gives you choices between being patient and stealthy or going a little crazy and seeing if you can quickly fight your way through. Though, of course, the aggressive approach comes with a lot of risks as your enemies are quite capable, and if they spot you, they can take you out really quickly. There were some sections where I found sneaking to be the best option, and other parts where I just went on a wild killing spree until I was the only one left standing. Either way, I was having a good time. Speaking of options, there's an upgrade tree, and the choices of which upgrade to take were pretty compelling. You'll always want more upgrade points, which really incentivizes you to look for collectibles or complete optional objectives for more. Even at the end of the game, I still want to find what other abilities and upgrades I could use. The optional objectives were challenging and generally interesting. They made me want to replay some of the missions, which is a really good sign, though there is sometimes an optional objective to do a mission without killing anyone, and that feels pretty dumb. Most of your abilities are meant for murder. You are a vampire assassin after all, and not using those abilities for a pacifist optional objective felt so limiting and takes away most of your options in any given situation. It feels like a disjointed design choice, and so do other parts of the game as well. For instance, the snipers that appear only at the beginning and end of the game, and the boss fights. There aren't many boss fights, but they all take away most of your abilities and reduce you to your blinking teleport and punching. Try as I did, I couldn't find any other ability that did anything in the boss fights, and that also felt very limiting. My upgrade choices didn't matter, and neither did my skill at most of what the game had me doing, sneaking and assassinating. Luckily, there's not very many boss fights in this game. And while we're talking about choices that don't matter, let's talk about the story. Vampire the Masquerade Justice bills itself as a story-driven game that lets you explore Venice and make choices in the seedy, backstabbing World of Darkness setting. It doesn't really do that. If you want to come to this game to have fun in the world of vampire power politics, then don't expect much of that. The focus of this game is on the assassination and sneaking gameplay. That's what it does well. Anyway, without spoiling too much, you rarely get choices, and even sinking some upgrade points into intimidation skills didn't help with much of that either. The choices that you do get really come down to being nice to people or being mean to people, which isn't much of a choice at all. And only a couple of times did I notice actions that I took in the game changing things later in a throwaway line of dialogue or a slight difference in a mission. Maybe my choices were changing things more than I thought, but I didn't really notice that my limited decisions had any effect on anything. Mostly events just happen to you, and those events are pretty flat. So are the characters. Your buddy Pietro helps you out, and all the other vampires are opponents that aren't really sympathetic or deep at all. Except maybe for one, but I never had the chance to take that one person's side. This ties into the big twist that's clearly meant to feel like a big twist, but it just isn't. It fell flat. Overall, the most disappointing thing in the entire game was at the end, where what should have been a big choice on how to treat all the main characters at the conclusion of the story just didn't happen. Their fates were already decided. Maybe my actions earlier had predestined that, but it would have been good to have some indication if that was the case. The gameplay was pretty awesome though, and the feeling of sneaking through an area and picking off hapless opponents one by one, or the scary thrill of running away or trying not to be destroyed in a tense fight once you're spotted was fantastic. Vampire the Masquerade Justice delivers in its gameplay promises, though it does stumble from time to time when it loses focus of what makes it fun. All in all, I'd give it a B. If you really love the World of Darkness or want to do some sneaky assassinations as a vampire, then this game is an easy recommendation. If you're looking for a deep story where your choices have consequences, as they say, or you're looking for a more head-to-head combat-focused experience, then look elsewhere. If you've got some thoughts on this game yourself, feel free to leave a comment. As always, thank you for joining me, VR gamers, and have fun out there.